Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ground Pass. This is a special edition of Ground Pass. It is our Australian Open preview. It's coming to you a little bit early, and that is because qualifying starts tonight. What is time? I think it starts tonight or tomorrow, one of those days. But we are also joined by the lovely Lucy Deuce of Blackspin Global. Lucy, welcome to the pod.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. Sorry, excuse my voice. I've got a very horrible cold. It's actually really cold in the UK right now, but I'm so happy to be here.
You know what? It started warming up here a little bit. Nick, is it still snowing from last week?
The snow has melted. The snow has melted.
Okay, good.
So I am no longer stuck inside in the freezing cold. We have hopes for it to hit double digits in centigrade.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hopefully it will warm up there too. We actually got into the high 40s here in Fahrenheit. So I was very, very excited. So this episode, what are we doing? We're going to jump right into it, guys, because I feel like this is another long one coming, but we will try and not make this a 2-hour episode. But in this episode, we are going to be looking back at the first week of the season and how exciting it has been. I've actually been surprised by how much we have to talk about from the first week of the season. And also, we will be looking into the Australian Open, what to expect, what qualifiers to watch, all the events going around the Australian Open so that you can be informed and know what is going on. But before we jump into it, for everyone who doesn't know Lucy, I kind of want to have you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do in tennis. You have been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
With Eugene, the other co-host of Blackspin Global. And that was when we were doing our I think it was before Queens, and we were kind of doing like a grass season preview.
Yes.
That was the last time.
And also US, and no, actually no, US Open.
Oh my goodness, I
in
totally
person.
forgot. We did
Yes.
the in person at US Open. Wow.
Yeah.
So you actually have your.
Yes.
I think you're now a regular. As a third time, now you're a regular.
I remember reading the comments, and it was like people saying, "Oh, our two favorite podcasts," which was really nice to see.
That was stuff. Really sweet. Yes.
Yeah. But for those who don't know, yes, I'm Lucy. Wow, I'm not used to introducing myself. I don't even know where to start, but obviously. So, co-host of Blackspin Global Podcast. We mainly focus on Black tennis players, but we do talk about tennis overall. But I wanted to be branching out a little bit. I kind of did say that on our pod recently. And just, I, as much as the sport is chaotic, I love it. I enjoy it. I love talking about it. So this is why I introduced Lucy Deuce, to just have another way to talk more about the sport and not just be boxed as the Black player specialist, and just, someone who actually just enjoys it and just want to talk about it, whether it's the news, whether it's, the matches, whatever it is, the fashion as well, the brands, everything. There's just so much to talk about. And it's been like 5 years now with Blackspin Global, 5-6 years, which has been crazy. I feel quite old, but yeah, really excited for the 2026 season. As you said, this first week has been very, very entertaining. There's been so much going on.
Yeah, we will definitely get into it. But Nick, we're going to start how we've been starting our podcast this year, and that was with Ground Pass Hotline. We got a question this week. I post usually to our YouTube community posts, and then also I make like a little question box on our Instagram asking you all for questions on the tennis of the week, if you have any questions about the sport specifically or a tournament that's going on. And we got a really great question from YouTube that I wanted to read out because, and one of the reasons why I loved this question is, as people who are in tennis, I feel like, or at least for me, sometimes I assume people know more than they do. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, everyone knows that. And this question I thought was so great in a way that a lot of times we need to explain things even more for people. So let me read out the question. This is from Haya Birdie on YouTube, and it says, sometimes I see people post videos of player practice. Are those practices free to watch, or do you have to buy some type of pass to get in? Also, have you attended any, and what is it usually like? I love this question. I really, really love this question. I want to start with, yes, they are free to attend if you have a ticket to the tournament. So for example, if let's pick Indian Wells, because I think Indian Wells has some of the best practice court experiences. Like they have it all set up. Their chairs, it's really nice viewing. Like you can really see the practice courts and everything. But if you have a ticket, for example, you bought a ground pass to Indian Wells for the day, they have on their app or on their website a list of players practicing. And it is free to attend. As long as you have a ticket into the tournament, it's free to attend. What I will say is they are certain, not etiquettes is the way to say it, but they're just rules of the game when you go to practices at tournaments. And I think the biggest rule is know exactly who you want to watch and get there early. Get there early. And this is actually a question I will throw back to you, because I am speaking from an American tournament perspective. They get really packed, especially when you have like a Carlos Alcaraz or a Yannick Sinner or Arina Sabalenka, Coco Gauff. If you have them practicing, it gets packed. People usually show up a practice or two ahead just so they can secure a spot and wait to see them practice, because a lot of times people are buying ground passes or they're buying tickets that are very high up in a stadium. So the best chance they have to see their favorite player up close and personal are at this practice courts. But I'm not sure, Nick, if this is the exact same, or at least I know for sure Wimbledon is very different, for example, with the practice court access.
Yeah, Wimbledon's the only one I could really speak to. And the Birmingham Challenger, they're kind of very different ends of the scale. And the Ilkley Challenger, I'll say that. So basically it's like either Grand Slam or Challenger tournaments is all I know right now. So Wimbledon, there are no chairs. It is standing room only. You stand in a queue to go and watch it. You stand in a line. When you're kind of done watching, you leave and someone takes your spot on the queue. Essentially, that's where it is, what it's like there. And in terms of the viewing experience, like you basically just have a view of all of the practice courts. You don't sit next to one court like you might at Indian Wells, which, as he says, the ultimate experience. You kind of just look around and see who you can see that's kind of close to the fence, because there's a fence, big old fence between you and the players. And then there's practice courts like even further back that you can barely see or kind of out of sight. So there's kind of practice courts that you can just sort of stand and watch for a bit. But you can't necessarily access everything in the same way. If you were to go to a challenger tournament, you would actually probably get better access, because both Birmingham and Ilkley don't really have courts, like low courts. So the players are going to be practicing on what courts are available. The only things that maybe they wouldn't have access to would be if the players decided to practice indoors, because Birmingham definitely has indoor facilities, and those are just off limits to the public completely. So, in fact, they've had problems before where like they've had to finish the Birmingham tournament indoors because of the rain, and no one will be allowed to go inside to watch.
Wait, really?
Yes, it's genuinely
But
happened
it's the
one year.
tournament.
I think it was the double or something. Like they had to finish it on the Sunday. They had indoor courts. There were no spectator seats inside, so nobody.
I think that happened last year, didn't it?
Yeah,
was it last year or
it was
yeah?
a year or two ago.
Wow.
Yeah, there was one year where it was really raining a lot, and there was no fans.
That's a tangent, but generally with the setups of those specific tournaments, because they're practicing on the same courts they play on, you can get kind of decent access anyway. I haven't been to Queen's yet, but I am going this year. Lucy, you've been to Queen's. What's their practice court situation like? Because this is now we're looking at sort of 500 level kind of stuff, which is probably a step in between.
I think Queens does it pretty well, because one thing I like about Queens, that before the tournament starts, people can actually go during the practice and qualifying matches. Same with Eastbourne as well. So it's actually pretty cool. So during those time, you do see players practicing. It's really up close. It's like as if it's an actual match. They tend not to open the main court, aka the Andy Murray Arena. So that's not really open yet, but the rest are. But I have noticed that when it's like bigger players like Alcaraz, Draper, and so on, it's kind of hidden, and it's only for like, the press, for them to take the pictures and whatnot, unless there's the one practice where they let everyone know, okay, Alcaraz, Draper, or even when Serena played Eastbourne, I'll never forget that they literally gave us a time and a date. This is the day that she's going to come and practice, come and take your pictures and take your notes and whatnot. So there's that little spot, because obviously all the fans are going to be coming over, so they give us a heads up so we can go and have a little bit more like closer access and stuff. But yeah, it's actually not that bad. And it's nice because Queens is so small, you're actually quite close to the player. So I always tell people that, I know you want to see big players, but I always tell people that it's actually worth going to Queens during the qualifying rounds. It's more relaxed. You see random players walking around, and especially that now there's both ATP and WTA, it's actually pretty cool, and the tickets are way cheaper as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That actually just reminded me to mention that even in some tournaments like the US Open, some of these practices are planned. It's almost part of the entertainment. So, for example, during Fan Week at the US Open, when you see all the practices listed and stuff, usually, it's like Holger Rune is practicing with Novak Djokovic. Now, would they practice normally? Maybe. But what they do is that I think they put people together. I think I remember one year where Arina Sabalenka practiced with Coco Gauff, and it was on Ash, and they almost put these things together as part of the entertainment for fans. So yes, if you're going to a tournament and you have tickets, depending, as you've seen from all three of us, the size of the tournament, you can have different levels of access to the practice courts and stuff. So that is the answer for you, Haya Birdie. Again, I always post a couple of days or a day before we record. Feel free to drop your questions to us and we will answer them. Now, we have a voice memo, Nick. We have a voice memo from the United Cup. We have a listener who went to the United Cup and is sending a voice memo over. She attended the tie between Australia and Poland. Now, this is actually a really great experience. I can't wait for you to hear her experience, because the only tournament she's ever attended before was the US Open. She's a New Yorker, so she's attended the US Open. So this is her first tournament outside of that, and it's in a different country. So I thought that would be really cool to get her perspective of what it was like attending the United Cup in Sydney. So here is her voice note.
So my wife and I decided to spend the last night of our honeymoon attending the United Cup in Sydney. It was the quarterfinals, Australia versus Poland, and we thought it would be very cool to see a country on their home turf. We had to miss the first match, but we made it for Deminar versus Hubie, and Hubie was getting a very, very strong reaction from the crowd, which we did not expect. We thought it would be a lot of Australia cheering, but the cheers for Hubie were extremely loud as well. This was the first tournament I've ever gone to that wasn't the US Open, so we knew it'd be much smaller in scale, but it was kind of just like a mini US Open in the sense of how the grounds were set up. One of the big differences, of course, is that you couldn't watch any players practice. They have those courts pretty separate from the actual venue. And there weren't a million sponsors and activations going on. The two main giveaway things were sponsored by Lacoste and Liquid IV. And then there was an Aperol Spritz section for sitting outside the stadium to watch. And there was another section out front like they do at Arthur Ashe, where with proper chairs and seating with food trucks around it. So they do food trucks instead of the stands. There are about, I'd say, 10 options overall for you to eat at, so which isn't bad. And then we were able to get the tickets quite easily. You can't resell tickets at a high price like you can in the States, so that was very nice. We very easily were able to get tickets for a reasonable price for box seats, is what they called them, but it was really just 5 seats in a row together. And then, the energy was very high. It was a super, super exciting match to watch. We unfortunately had to leave before the doubles was over. Their stadium the grounds is kind of out in the middle of nowhere from the rest of Sydney. So we took an Uber there, but I believe there were buses and such that you could get there with. But it was pretty cool to be able to be on the grounds of the 2000 Sydney Olympics. knowing that Venus had won gold twice in that same stadium. The capacity of the stadium is about 10,000 people, so it was more comparable to Grandstand than it was to Armstrong for me. But yeah, it was a really great experience, and if I get lucky enough to do it again one day, I will. It's also worth noting that the heat in Australia, especially this time of year, is very brutal. The sun is much stronger there than we're used to, even though it does get extremely hot at the U.S. Open. You'll notice that the ball boys and ball girls have extra protection on the backs of their necks and on their arms, and that's because of the sun. And they also put up misting fans all around the stadium for guests to cool down at. There was a lot more protection in that sense.
Thank you, Nicole, so much for sending in that voice note. That was so great to hear your experience at the United Cup. And guys, if you're at a tournament and you want to send us what it's like to attend that tournament, you know what to do. Shoot us an email. All the information will be in the description of this podcast. And yeah, we want to hear what you are experiencing live on the ground so that other people can know what to expect if they're planning to go to that tournament. So let us jump right in where we left off there with that voice note with the United Cup and everything else that was in the first week of this season. So there was I would say four tournaments. So United Cup, Brisbane, Auckland, and Hong Kong happened this season, and there were storylines galore in all of them. Let me start with you, Lucy, first. What in general were your thoughts of these first tournaments that happened?
Stacked. The first time that I was actually very entertained. For those, honestly, guys, I'm going to keep it really honest with you guys. When it comes to the first couple weeks of the season, I'm like, it's just like this to me, because we're just coming back from off season and then boom, the biggest, tournament coming in. And it's like, the predictions are harder. You don't know how everyone is feeling. There's just, so I feel like I'm being thrown so many things at once. Maybe because this time the season started actually on 2026 and not like before the new year and like we're going in. I don't know. It just felt like a clean state and everything, was making sense. And we came into the season with so many changes, new coaches, new brand sponsorships, new everything. It was just like a new year, new season. I don't know, just a different feeling. A lot of new changes. Like for instance, with Hong Kong, we had Michael Moe coming back. Obviously, he had to pull out eventually because of injury again, but it was nice seeing him going far. But yeah, it was. Brisbane was really stacked. Was really, really good. And it's also still nice seeing really competitive high level players at the United Cup as well, because it's not necessarily a tournament thing, but it's still nice seeing people like Coco, Ego Fitz, Stan even still playing there as well, especially this is farewell season. So I don't know, like this is the first time where I'm like, okay, I'm actually enjoying this. Obviously still hard to wake up, especially that I'm trying to fix my sleeping pattern and stuff, so, and work as well. But yeah, it was pretty cool. What about you guys?
For me, I think I had to, because I remember, I like that you brought up the whole sleep and everything. So last season, I tried to do it all. I was like, I'm going to watch every tournament. I'm going to stay up for everything. That's going to, I'm going to go all in. And I remember by February, my whole sleep pattern was ruined.
Yeah.
I was not sleeping. It took me a whole month to kind of like re-regulate and get back to normal. So this year I came into it, and like you, I did feel like that sort of like, wow, there's this kind of like new year, new us, like feeling about everything with all the new brand deals and everything like that. But I made a conscious note that I'm going to stick to the one or two tournaments that I'm going to focus on. I'm going to watch one or two matches a night, and then I'm just going to catch up on everything later. Everything else, I'm just going to catch up. So for me, mainly the start was focusing on the United Cup and Brisbane on the WTA side. And that was
from the outside, it actually looked like you guys were focusing on everything. In all honesty.
Well, thank you. That's just me catching up in the morning and like being like, oh, and then this happened and then this happened. But no, I think I was actually really strict with myself, where I was kind of like, you know what? No, we're not going to do this. And by the way, this is a total tangent and a, point that I want to do make though, if people are interested, because in this sort of time, it is just hard to watch every single match. Tennis Channel
Really?
has this thing where it's like the match in 15 minutes. I don't know if they have that on Sky Sports or anything, but it is
Girl.
so good. It is so good when they're like 200 matches, but you want like a condensed kind of thing. You'll watch some all the way, but then others you're like, yeah, just give me the highlights. And the match in 15 minutes is like really, really good. But Nick, what has been the first week been like for you? Your thoughts on the tournaments?
First of all, on your thing, no, Sky Sports do not have anything like that. Or if they do, I'm too cheap to pay for the package that gives me that. So it's essentially the situation. Because I use Now TV, I don't get
Same.
Sky Direct. So because Now TV is all about the live experience,
Yeah.
like watching stuff back isn't really a thing. Like they do offer some highlights packages. They don't generally make them available until the day after. So by that point, with this time of the year, it's pointless. Back to your question about sort of what I've been noticing. So yeah, I was focusing mainly on United Cup because I love United Cup, and I think the size of the stadium there, like it does feel like a mini Australian Open in some ways. I was enjoying what I was seeing from. I checked on other tournaments like Brisbane. I did enjoy that, and was following along like some of the stuff we're doing in Hong Kong, particularly with Common Wong. But I would say that yeah, it was impossible to follow everything because of the time zone, and I think it's like this week of the year is like everybody is playing in 1 week. At around about the same sort of time. It's like what would happen if you played every Grand Slam round on the same day, like all the first round on day one, all the first round on second round on day two. Like everyone's everywhere playing at the same time, and it's chaos. The only people who weren't playing in an actual tournament were Sinner and Alcaraz, and they played an exhibition yesterday.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was like. So yeah, like you, I've had to kind of pick and choose, and I've kind of gone with, well, what's the most interesting match happening now? And 9 times out of 10, it was the United Cup, maybe the odd WTA match in Brisbane. But, you know, some great matches coming out of the week. Like, I think a lot of the really, really good stuff probably happened overnight. What I really, really enjoyed was, like, just how stacked Brisbane was. Even if I wasn't watching it, like, following it, it was like, from the last 16 onwards, it was like a Grand Slam final draw. Like it was all seeded players. No room for the Ground Pass picks in there, kind of going through. So really quality and really great matchups in there. United Cup, you were getting this kind of drama from it in there. But like, I think what I would say is when you were asking this question, I was actually thinking about sort of the vibes of the tournament and sort of what it'd be like to go to from that. If you get to go to Brisbane, I think it's probably one of the best 500s to go to, given the feel
100%.
you get. It definitely on the women's side, even a little bit on the men's, even though they don't necessarily get the same sort of players. United Cup sounds like a great experience all round. Auckland's like your sort of fun, small tournament vibe. And then Hong Kong is like this sort of metropolitan event that's like in a park that's off the side of the harbour, like it's right in the city. And it's kind of like you could wander into a tennis tournament just walking around the city, and that sort of really easy access feel to it. And so I'd be very curious to see if anyone who has been to any of these tournaments can verify this, because I was sat there going, I'm enjoying the tennis. I'm also really interested in all these locations now. But yeah, Brisbane, that has to be top 500 to visit. That's my main takeaway.
Nice. Hong Kong is definitely one where I was like, this is a great, like, if I was going to choose like travel, because also I think, was Hong Kong the one that Mumboku won at the end of last season?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have a women's at the end of the season and then a men's at the beginning. It's a very interesting pairing, that those two tournaments, and I think it would be super great to attend. But yeah, so let's start talking about the players here. It's the first week. Things can totally change.
100%.
There have been some players that I'm like, this is interesting. This is a look. Okay. So I want to ask, and just, you could one or two people, but who do you think is looking like, okay, they're going to go deep in Australia? And then who do you think you're like, maybe you need one more week of off season? I can start, but Belinda Bencic is winning the Australian Open, guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
You stole my pick.
We're going to have the same one, Nick. And here's the thing. I don't know if it's like playing for your country, because guys, playing for your country can do things to people in a way where they can totally level up their game. We see this in Davis Cup. We see this in Billie Jean King Cup. But Belinda Bencic is playing some really gritty tennis, because I've watched a few of her matches now, and they're not all like straight sets wins. It's not like, oh, she's just playing lights out and it's straight sets and she's gone. A lot of them are these 3-set battles where you just look at her and you're like, oh, wow, she's not losing. Like, she's mentally like, I am not going to lose this match, and I'm going to like battle it out. So it's been really interesting watching her this this United Cup, and now she's back in the top 10 because she went, I think it was 9-1. She won 9 matches and lost only one, which was the one she lost, the doubles one that she lost today. But Nick, you say you have the same one. What are you thinking?
Well, so yeah, with you, like obviously I put a different player down for this originally, and then Belinda Bencic beat Iga Swiatek today, and I was like, oh my gosh, like Belinda's playing amazing right now and is playing at a level that would win everything. I do have a stat that I've seen online. Belinda Bencic, up until that mixed doubles match that she and Jakob Paul lost, which meant that Poland ended up winning the United Cup, just drop that bit of news in there, that she actually, definitely in singles now, has been unbeaten playing for Switzerland, going back to when she won the Olympics in 2021.
Oh.
Like, she hasn't lost a match playing for Switzerland in that time.
So maybe it's a country thing.
It might be, but also I do think that something has been brewing with her over the last year or so. She won a couple of titles last year. She got to the Wimbledon semi-final. She was a thorn in the side for a few players. She got a little bit injured in the middle of the year, which kind of stalled the progress a little bit. I think this has been coming, and I think this top 10 breakthrough is going to be big. I mean, she's back in the top 10, I should say. She's been career half number 4 before. So I'm really excited to see, okay, is this the Belinda Bencic we're going to get? Because if it is, then, you know, we've got another big contender in 2026 joining the elite crew that we've got already of like these 5 players that were like already making big fusses about and waiting for more to join. The player I originally picked was Sabalenka, because that woman does not look like losing anything in Australia, hasn't done for a few years. Like, she's only lost twice in the country of Australia in the last 3 years. And that was to Madison Keys last year, which was one of our favourite stories of the whole year, of Maddie kind of stepping up and putting that really special run together. And then one match against Elena Rybakina where Elena went into basically immortal mode.
I remember.
And nobody could stop
Wasn't
her.
that a 6-love thing?
It wasn't 6-love, 6-love, but it was pretty one-sided. And
It was
I
was like, what's happening?
Literally, Arena couldn't do anything to touch Elena in that match. But that's what it takes to beat Arena Sabalenka in Australia. So yeah. Obvious answer, safe answer, but that's the one I would have sat back going, wow.
Yeah. And Lucy, what about you? Who's looking good?
I mean, I was, it's funny because when you guys were saying names, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be boring and just say Sabalenka, of course. She has always been my pick for this Australian Open, to be honest. I think she's the only one that I kind of had my eye on. I do feel like, I don't think it's going to be an easy road for her, though. I think the WTA players are becoming more and more competitive. I think that, you know, for example, you see Amanda doing so well. You see Bencic doing so well. You see even Coco that plays so well during the United Cup. I see people even already calling out Iga, but Iga's the type of person where when Grand Slam comes, she actually really puts her head down and gets to it. So I will not count her out. I won't be surprised if she makes it to the second week. I'm not saying she'll win, she'll lift the trophy, but I'm seeing people already saying, oh, this is not looking good. She really puts her heads down during Grand Slam. So, I mean, I think Sabalenka as well has learned a lot from the previous year. I think that if she goes through another final and she doesn't win, she's going to lose it. And I think she knows that, which is why she is playing her best when she gets to it. I mean, Brisbane, she played so well. It was like nothing at all. So that's why I didn't really bother waking up at 6:30 to watch the final, even though I really wanted to, because Marta's playing really well as well. Who's another player, you know, like I said, the WTAs right now, I don't know what's going on, but everyone is just waking up and just, you know, I kind of feel like once Iga started slowing down, in a way it brought a lot of their confidence, made them feel like, oh, okay, actually we can do this. Because there was a moment where people just thought that Iga was unstoppable and just felt like, no, that was it. And I think as she started losing, I don't know what I felt, I don't know, which is so strange, because it's like, she was dominant, but she was mainly dominant for one surface for a very long time. But it's crazy how she was in people's head for so long. Like if you notice, when she started going down, everyone else was just like, all right, boom. So I think that's what I'm really looking forward for the WTA this season. I feel like there's going to be a lot of the girls like shaking the table. I don't know. I don't think anyone really expected Marta, for instance, to play so well already. I'm looking forward to seeing her play the Australian Open. So yeah.
Yeah, no, Marta is a good shout. She's been like playing really, really well. Is there anyone that's looking shaky for you, Lucy?
Back to me. I actually, I don't like, this is why I don't like the first season, guys. Like the first, like
Yeah.
it's the first week. It's just do not know.
Yes.
I don't, we haven't watched her play, but I think we need a little bit more time with Osaka. I think some people are already saying that Australian Open is going to look good for her, but I don't think so yet. I feel like, which is strange because she's a 2 times Australian Open champion, but now I kind of feel like Osaka's the type of person where as the season goes, she gets better and better, which is what literally just happened last year. And then she had a very great hardcore swing later on. Yeah, I'm already seeing people saying, yeah, Osaka, especially that she, changed her team and she's not with Evolve anymore and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I think a little bit more time is needed. So, yeah.
Naomi Osaka's my pick as well. Yeah, I watched her in the United Cup. I watched the first match, I didn't watch the second one. But I watched her against Sakkari and she looked very kind of rusty. And I think she was sick.
I heard that.
This, like, it's not necessarily like it's all going horribly wrong, because we looked like we were getting glimmers of the Osaka that we remember from the early 2020s, late 2010s, of this world-beating force, where we look at what happened in Canada and that US Open semi-final run with that dramatic match with Amanda. I think it just didn't look like that again. It looked like she'd kind of gone back to being a bit more cautious and playing within herself a bit more, as we've been seeing throughout most of the last couple of years. But if she was sick, if she was rusty, then of course it's going to look like that. And then the next match was against Katie Swan, who is a decent player but wasn't expecting to play. I think she was kind of thrown at the last minute. So I think we didn't really necessarily get a read on sort of Osaka in that match. So yeah, I think Osaka top level has potential. I don't think it's going to be this Australian Open. Watch her the rest of the season, but I definitely think she needs some reps to get herself going.
Yeah.
So we should really sort of show what she can do.
Yeah. Mine's Tommy Paul. And maybe it's because,
Did he play?
Yeah. Giovanni Mpesci Pericard beat
exactly.
him.
Yeah.
In Brisbane. Yes, the 250 there. And maybe it's because you see players like Hubie Hurkacz, who's been out for 7 months, I think. And he comes back looking even better than when he left. Like Hubie, he's so underranked right now. And I just don't think anyone wants to see him anywhere near them in the draw. And Tommy has been out as well due to injury for a while. And I just thought he would come out stronger. But I don't know. I watched that match with Giovanni and he just looked lost. Like it was just kind of like, are you here? Like, what's happening? So that was surprising for me. So I think Tommy is the one where I think he definitely needs more reps. He did play doubles with Ethan Quinn at that same tournament, and I think they won 2 rounds or so. So maybe he just it's a bit rusty and he just needs to, kind of get back into it. So yeah, he's definitely the one that I'm sort of like, he needs some reps. He needs some reps. Last thing before we go on to sort of like who we're keeping an eye on maybe for this season is, are there any storylines? And the reason why I put this question is because I was actually surprised by some of the players that nobody was talking about. And Nick, you put something here, but were there any sort of storylines this first week that surprised you that wasn't sort of like a bit bigger?
I think it's a storyline of a trend, and that is the WTA Next Gen is kind of here now. And I'm talking these players who are sort of aged 20 and below. And they've kind of stuck up on the field. Why am I talking about this? I've been paying quite close attention to the seeding situation for Australia, because this week, the rankings on Monday are going to decide that. So I've been putting out some posts on social media about that, because as it was developing, like we kind of got it settled who the 32 seeds were. And I just had a look going, young player, Mira Andreeva's been around for a while. She actually got off to a pretty solid start in Brisbane. Didn't look like she was losing it in the same way as she was towards the end of last season. She's got her head back together. You've got Vicky Mboko, who is played really well for Canada, got into some really exciting matches with Sulin and Lise Mertens. Didn't get Canada through, but it was a decent shout, and I'm really excited by her potential and what's going to happen when she starts really meeting the top players. Maya Joint's been one of the stars of the United Cup for Australia. Didn't win any matches, was a little bit unfortunate with not being well as well, but there was always going to be a question of how is she going to do, and she is now seeded for the Australian Open. She's going to be seeded.
Wait, Maya Joint is seeded?
Maya Joint is going to be seeded for the Australian Open.
Wow.
Yeah, she's got herself up the rankings. I think she's going to be 30th seed, 28, 29, something like that.
Wow.
Do you know who else is going to be seeded? This is my other point. Do you know who else is going to be seeded? Iva Jovic is going to be seeded.
I'm not too surprised about that, though. She's really been leveling up.
Yeah.
She's really been playing well.
That WTA 500 win really helped last year, but then that Auckland run as well. She's got to the semi-finals in Auckland, and actually everyone was watching her in Auckland going, whew, Jovic could beat Svitolina. She didn't, but she was playing really, really well and was getting a lot of, getting some attention, but was getting a little bit drowned out by all the other stuff that was going on. And then you have Alex Ayala, who doesn't really do anything quietly because she's got the entire nation of the Philippines behind her. So even if she's not making noise, they're going to make noise for her. So harder for her to kind of swing under the radar, but she also got to the Auckland semi-finals as well and looked pretty assured in doing that in the process. So, she teamed up with Iva Jovic in the doubles as well, and they got to the semi-finals in Auckland. They did pretty well there. And it's just these little things of these sort of young players. AR's not seeded yet, but these others have kind of snuck in there and they're kind of in the mix. And they're carrying some really good form into Australia. And I'm not surprised because obviously they didn't win any tournaments. So of course we're not talking about them in the same way. But guys, these kids are picking up matches, and the more matches they pick up and the more matches they win, they're going to start catching up and overtaking the people who are already there. So that's the 5 players. Not only covered Teresa Valentova, who's also rocketing her way up the rankings and got a couple of decent reps in there. So I am super excited for what they're going to do in Australia in general. But so many of them are seeded. And your reaction, Anastasia, was more or less mine when I first started looking at the live rankings and going, wait, what?
I'm not going to lie.
I think this goes back to my point of the WTA being so competitive that you don't even really realize. I think it's more that. I don't think it's a thing of people never thinking about them. It's just that the top players at the WTA right now is just too much. So you're kind of in a way not even realizing that, okay, the younger one, there's more even coming, and it's happening at a speed I never really expected. When I was talking about Victoria Mboko last year at the beginning of the season, I did not think that season was going to end with her bagging 1,000 title at home. I knew her career was going to be really well done, but I thought it would be most likely this year, but not that season. So yeah, you can be caught off guard, but it's very exciting though. It means that it's stacked all around, and it doesn't matter whether it's round 1 or semi-finals. It means that we're going to get a good match regardless.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. The WTA this season is so exciting with how many, but even I am pretty shocked. I'm just Iva Jovic and Maya Joint are seeded. That is something I could not have called last year. Even in the middle of the year, I was there's no way.
Really?
There's so many other players.
For Eva, I did. For Eva, yes. She's been grinding. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Eva, I did. Her name was popping up every minute. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And she's a great kid. She is really super cool. For you, Lucy, is there any sort of storyline that maybe you saw that wasn't as sort of noticed by many people?
Honestly, no. I feel we were there was just so many things. I feel any news that came up, people were just talking about it anyways. So no, not really, to be honest.
For me, I think the main thing that I was sort of why is no one talking about Alex Kovacevic and Brandon Nakashima? Brandon Nakashima made it to the Brisbane final with Medvedev. And I feel people don't even know that. I'm but he was in the final. They're Medvedev won. And I'm Brandon Nakashima, who didn't really do anything last year, made it to the final of Brisbane. I feel that's something we should be talking about. And I think maybe it's also because I really do think he's a great kid. I think in 2024, when he first came on my radar, I was kind of like, wow, Brandon Nakashima is very interesting, very kind of heads down kind of player. He's not loud. He's not making, he's not cheering loud or doing anything. He kind of just keeps to himself, very quiet. But he was doing, he was involved in so many great matches in 2024 that I just thought 2025 is his breakthrough. He's going to, get in top 20 or something like that. And it just never really happened. So I was like, oh, that's a shame. And he starts off this season getting to a final of Brisbane. So I was like, maybe he just needed a season off, and like this might be the year that he does it. And then also with Alex Kovacevic, he recently added David Witt to his team, and David Witt is going to be his traveling coach. And Alex got to the quarterfinals of Brisbane, and Alex is just someone who I remember early last year, I think it was Montpellier or one of those indoor tournaments in February in France that he got to the final of. So he's someone who he's had some results, but never consistently. So it's interesting to see him start the season this way with a new team. Those are two storylines that I really was like, nobody's talking about these kids. And I feel like they're going into the Australian Open with a bit of juice. We will see how they do there.
Nakashima is going to be seated in Australia.
See? Nakashima is seated. That is so crazy. Interesting. You know what? I think this means it's time for us to jump into our Australian Open preview, because we're there. It's time. And I don't know how you guys feel in general, but there's something about me this year where I was sort of like, wait a second. The Australian Open's now? It can't.
I feel like that every year, though. That every year. Like, it's just like a Happy New Year Australian Open straight away. I don't know I really wonder who has Australian Open as their favorite Grand Slam.
I want to know who that person is. I do want to know who that person is.
I would like to have a word with that person and be like, why?
I'm assuming you mean someone who's not Australian.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. I think the only people who have Australia as their favorite are Australians. And I don't think it's anything against the tournament per se. They actually feel like it's summer in Australia. All the photos I'm seeing, the vibes I'm seeing, they're all great. It all looks cool. But man, I think what really does it for me is how hard it is to watch for me. And I don't like complaining about this too much, because I just know that people in Australia and New Zealand and Asia, they go through this most of the year. Most of the year, they're on struggle bus trying to watch the Australia, any other tournament outside of Australia. So I don't like sort of harping on it too much, but the Australian Open, one of my least favorite tournaments just for that, because it's just so hard for me to keep up with what's going on, especially not even like in terms of like, oh, staying up late or whatever. I barely know what day it is in Australia. I'm like, wait, round one starts when now? We always say it's like final Sunday, but technically the Australian Open is like final Saturday because it happens on Saturday for us. So it's always so difficult, like for me in that way, kind of paying attention to the Australian Open. I feel like it seems like we all feel the same way for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. Like the first match starting at midnight for us here is just crazy. And then I have to wake up to go to work and stuff. And then, I think when I was just a fan, it was a little bit easier because it's like, okay, I could catch up. But when you have like a platform and you have to talk about, it's harder. I'll never forget was it last year or the year before? Where this is crazy. I literally did stay up. I didn't sleep at all. Like I stayed up to watch the matches. But what I did is that I was like right before it was like, when it was at 6 a.m., I just started working as I was watching the matches so that if I somehow fell asleep in front of my screen at 11 a.m., is that at least this report is done, that is done, and I don't get my ass fired. So yeah, the things that we do for the love of this sport is absolutely insane. So when a player is here complaining saying, I don't know anything, I don't know how to play, well, I am staying up and not sleeping because of you. So we're all sacrificing here.
Lucy, was that the year that Andy Murray had that ridiculously long match with Thanasi Kokkinakis? Because you probably would have gone...
Oh my
up to midnight watching tennis, and then that match would not end, and it didn't end until like 4 p.m. UK time.
No, yeah. I think I woke up in the middle of it. Like, I don't know how some people stayed up for that because that was crazy. That was really insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I love it. Like, I don't like missing matches. I don't like missing matches. I don't like having to do that, but I have to do it for the US Open as well, so I'm kind of used to it. But I miss less tennis at the US. I just miss the night sessions. So yeah, I don't like the fact that I have to miss like watching stuff live as it happens, but I do really enjoy catching up and starting my day with tennis and having in the background for stuff that's going on where I can. When I have to go into work, it's a problem. But yeah, I quite like it. And I quite like being able to start the day with tennis. I think the vibe of Australia, I really, really enjoy because everyone's fresh. All the players are fresh and you're kind of almost getting the best out of them. Unlike at other points of the season where they may be struggling a bit to already playing a lot of matches. And whereas they're kind of starting at their base level on a hard court, which is what they kind of used to playing most of the time. It's what they would have done their off season on. And I think the other thing is, maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia for me, but Australia was usually on during kind of winter exam season for me. And so I could like watch tennis as a teenager or like, 17, 18 years old before I do my schoolwork or going off and doing things. So, or like whilst doing it, because I studied a lot at home. So that was pretty exciting, and I just like the vibe of the tournament. So if you're going to ask me what my second favourite slam after Wimbledon is, it might just be the Australian Open.
Wow. Yeah. Not for me. It's last, and I think I put, for me, it depends on, because if I were to put them in order, it's Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and then Australian Open and US Open kind of fluctuate depending on the year. Some years the Australian Open is like last year. The Australian Open was so good. Like Maddie winning at the end. I mean, it was just so good. And last year, the US Open, I was like, meh, it was okay.
Okay,
It wasn't the best US Open ever.
So like rank it in terms of experience of watching it from a European or American perspective, it's always going to be nearer the bottom. If you change the ranking to which one you most want to visit, does it change?
Ooh, 100%. Well,
Yeah, I would love to go to Australian Open. I'm not gonna lie, the courts look bloody beautiful. The vibe is great, and I feel like they have mastered the fan experience. Like, look, they're doing this whole concert thing with big artists right before, and when you actually speak to a lot of like people in the industry, like players or coaches or whatnot, they will tell you they have the best things ever. Where you want to book a court, whether you want to get a car from your hotel to it, like they actually, I feel like they just have a good tournament experience, whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, whether you're a staff, whatever it is. So because of that, I would actually love to visit. Am I in the mood to be flying for a day and be stuck with snakes and kangaroos and everything and the sun, heat and everything? No. That I'm not too sure. So I'm not in a rush. So when people are asking us, oh, when you guys going to come Australia Open? Not anytime soon, but yeah, one day for sure, 100%.
yeah, totally. Speaking of which, because I kind of want to bring this up because I don't know where else I'll put it in. But on the sort of train of the Australian Open and professionals working within the sport, sort of like reporters, players, coaches, and everything, they really love the Australian Open. And I saw this post before we started recording of a screenshot of an email that the Australian Open sent to coaches. And I'll post it somewhere on the screen or something. But basically, the idea of it is that, you know, the Australian Open is always that tournament that innovates and does stuff first. You know, last year they had like the coaching boxes right on the court and stuff. And this email is saying that they understand what coaches do and how important they are to the sport. So they're going to include them in the post-match ceremony. And then also do the sort of like the post-match press conference at the end. And this will bring me to our episode that we did with Brad Stein. I will link it up here because we had a conversation with Brad Stein and he said, why is it that when the player wins, they're like, I would like to thank my coach. And they're in like Omaha, they're in the coaching box so far away. And he's like, why isn't the coach right there next to you? I mean, he said this thing, which I had never thought about, but once he said it, I was like, oh my goodness, you're so right. He was like, nothing against umpires or anything, But why does the umpire at the tournament that does the final get a little like plaque thing, is brought onto the court, and they're like, thank you, umpire, for officiating the match. And then the coach of the player is nowhere to be found. He's like in
Sorry. Oh, the Australian Open, they did that last year, didn't they? Didn't
the
they give
Australian
something? It
Open.
was. I'm pretty sure Madison Keys' husband came down on the court and he had to pick up something.
So they get a trophy, not during the
The
how'd you
ceremony.
call it? Not during the actual, when the player is giving their speech and everything
Yeah,
and
yeah,
thanking their
okay,
team.
okay. I was
The
pretty
coach
sure
is not
that
there
I saw
yet.
something.
Yeah, because so they come down after and they give them the trophy
Okay,
on the court.
okay, okay,
But
okay.
before then, they're still in the seat
They're
somewhere.
still
And I was
there.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're setting up a stage, you're doing all the things. There's time for the coach to come down and join their player on the court. So when I saw this email, I was like, they might try that this year where they bring the coaches onto the court. And I think it's so important. Other sports, basketball, football, where
Yeah,
who the team managers are, who the
yeah,
coaches are. Tennis,
yeah.
it's like, I guess that guy in the ball, you don't even know their names or anything.
Yeah. I feel like for me, tennis like to pick and choose when the coaches are important, which is what frustrates me. Do you get what
Yeah.
I mean? Look
Yeah.
how the world stopped when Carlos and Ferrero's split was announced. Everyone was spiraling. We didn't even know what the hell was going on. It was thing. And that alone is just proof to you how important, of course, because Carlos is a big player and everything has happened throughout the year factors in, but you can't have moments where you want to push coaches away when there can be such big news and have such big impact. And like you said, all the other sports do it. A football match, after the end, you hear the manager having, being able to interview. How comes we're only able to interview coaches when they win? Why can't I request for a coach interview after the first round of a Grand Slam? Why not? Hey, let's talk about the tactics and stuff. Let's talk about this and talk about that. Or maybe at a specific level, maybe not at every single round or every tournament. I think that we need to have it right there. Australian Open was very engaging last year when you had the boxes much closer to the court. Obviously, you had people still complaining, but it was so fun hearing that interaction and so on. Or when you had Ben Shelton's dad who was talking to, I think it was ESPN or something like that, when
Yes.
yeah, as well. Like all of these things just makes the sport so much more fun and interactive, but you also get to know the things at a tactical level. But yeah, I think I don't necessarily agree with the whole that coaches don't matter, because at the end of the day, it never takes away the fact that no matter how many times a coach is yapping away, it never takes away the fact that once the player's on that court, it's only them there. Yeah, I think for some reason they think it takes out the game, takes out the fun, takes out the traditional, like, oh yeah, it's only one person. At the end of the day, that coach is not holding the racket. You are holding the racket. The coach can say do this and do that, and you're still going to do the whole different thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But we need to decide, do you really want to involve the coaches in, or you don't? There's not one moment it's like, okay, yeah, you can't have the coaches here, and then you can have the coaches here. Like, they spend so much money on these people and bring them all around, and they have such a close relationship that I don't think people really even realize. Like, they are with them 24/7. You need to include them in. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It will be interesting to see how they do it. I just really love, that's the one thing I'll give the Australian Open. I love how they usually, people say this about the US Open, like, oh, they do the mixed doubles thing and they innovate and things like that. But I really do think that the tournament that really does the innovating a lot of times
100%.
is the Australian Open.
Yeah.
So going into this Australian Open, what for you are the big, like, what's one big storyline that you think fans should be paying attention to, especially new fans that might not know the full stories and things? Nick, do you want to start? Let us know what are you going to be paying attention to?
I think there's a few obvious ones if you're going to look at the bigger picture of who's going to win, which is what everyone talks about. So let's park those as the obvious thing, because we've kind of touched on them anyway. And let's go for the one of the big stories. Amanda Anisimova. What is Amanda Anisimova going to do? Because we are now on countdown for when she's going to win a Grand Slam. Because she's now been in the last two finals of slams. She's proven herself to be a match for Arena and Iga. I can't remember the last time she played Coco. She's kind of in that mix now of danger player, but she's the only one of the danger players that doesn't have a Grand Slam. And so I'm interested to see sort of how that storyline unfolds, of what this kind of new expectation of she's a contender is going to look like. Is she going to break through at this Australian Open? Is she going to lift that first Grand Slam trophy here? Is it going to take a bit longer? That's probably going to be the kind of next level down story of what's going on in the background, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, Lucy, you go next before I go. But what do you think a big storyline is for you this coming?
I again, I'm going to be boring. I think definitely Carlos and Sinner again, but it's more specifically Carlos though, because entering the season without your main big coach, obviously he still has his other coaches, but I think there was always going to be a lot more eyes on him anyways, especially that he hasn't won Australian Open. He hasn't, right?
No.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't won Australian Open. I was saying this to Eugene. I think it's going to be another season of Carlos having a lot more pressure on him again. Last year, it was the same thing after Sinner's ban. All the eyes was on him, and he admitted, he was like, I did feel the pressure, and it took till he was at the clay season for him to feel a little bit more relaxed. And I think that's even only because clay is his surface. So if clay season didn't happen then, I think he would have still been losing a little bit. I mean, he did collect a title at Rotterdam, at least. That was something. I think that helped him a little bit, but clay was what pushed him. And also the mentality of, all right, I'm going to stop thinking about all this pressure on me. So I think that's happening again. I think Sinner knows how to handle pressure a lot more better than Carlos, in my opinion. And he showed that last year. I mean, hey, he finished year number one and everything was happening. I feel like Sinner, the only thing that can stop him, honestly, is himself for now. But when it comes to like injuries and stuff, is, some people are creeping up. We saw some things with Felix, for instance, last year, the US Open and stuff. And even when they played again at the end of the season. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on Carlos. And I think that might get to him, in all honesty, especially that him and Ferrero had a very strong relationship, very close, father and son type of thing. And from the look of it, it looks like, I mean, we still don't know 100% what it is, but it looks like it was a thing where he didn't want the split to happen, Ferrero didn't want the split to happen. And the sad thing is, I don't think we'll ever know the truth because of the respect that they have for each other. And I think all of that will play into his head, and it might, it might be a little bit more tough for him. So yeah, I think Carlos is going to be the story. Everyone in press is going to ask about him and Ferrero, thoughts and prayers to him and his agent. Honestly, first question. So have you spoken to Ferrero since? Is this true that your dad doesn't want you to play with him, have him about? All of these things rather than actually focusing on his tennis. So yeah, that's definitely going to be the story 100%.
Yeah. For me, it's the career slam. There are two players entering into the Australian Open that can get the career slam. So that's what I'm going to be sort of like paying attention to. But Iga Swiatek has never won the Australian Open and she's won all of them. And Carlos has never won the Australian Open and he's won all of them. So they both have the opportunity to complete the career slam. I believe I think actually Carlos has 2 years to do it, to also then be the youngest male to ever do it. He has this year and next year as the opportunity. So it will be interesting. I think most people might be focusing on the Carlos career slam only because there's the added pressure of career slam. No Juan Carlos. You have a new coach here, all of that stuff. So I think, unfortunately, all the pressure will be on Carlos Alcaraz, and it's going to be about how he deals with that. And if he can,
do you think they have the opportunity to?
Based off of this first week, I'm still sort of like question mark on Carlos because, again, all we've seen him do is this exhibition with Jannik Sinner, which was actually so fun. I was like, wow, they're really in their Fidel era. They're picking up where they left off. They're like, oh, Fidel, we got it. Sincaraz, let's go.
It's too early though for me. I think it's too early because at least Fidel, it was at the end of their career, after it's like, but at the beginning, they were boys like, hey, hi, and that's it. But I think it's a bit too early I saw them getting off like a private jet together to go to get to Australia. I was like, Excuse me, why are you being buddies? Hello, we've got a slam here to win. Like this is not the time. It's too, I don't know. For me personally, I think it's way too early in their careers for them to be too friendly with each other. Like,
Yeah, it's funny.
I
I
don't know.
feel like this is such a side tangent, but it's almost why I love the WTA more in some
Exactly.
respects, because the WTA, if they're rivals, they're rivals. We're not sharing a plane
Mm-mm.
together with our teams. And here they, like, if you haven't seen it, I'll find links on the internet and I'll put the links in the show notes. But basically, Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, they play their EXO in Korea. Again, full on Fidel mode. They're friendly. They're talking about maybe playing doubles together this year. I was like, guys, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Then they arrive in Australia together in the same private plane with their teams, and they have a joint interview in the airport. No, no, no. We need
What do you
our
think about
rivals
that,
to be.
Nick? What do you think
I'm
about it?
sorry, we wouldn't want to see Sincaraz team up in doubles and see what would happen against the best doubles teams in the world. Yeah, I'm here for that.
No, no.
I'm
And
here for
also
that.
we need no, but we also need to remember not every singles player is good at doubles as well.
True.
I can't remember there was what tournament last year. There was one tournament, I think it was DC, but I can't remember. There was a tournament where like single players were pairing up together. And I was watching the
Yeah.
doubles and I was like, guys, are you guys watching this? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Like, don't do this ever again, please. Like, go back to singles. So, yeah, I don't know.
No, it would be hilarious if they come up against, well, when they come up against, I don't know, who's the best doubles team in the world? I think the best doubles team in the world was just broken up, haven't they? Like Harrison and King, but
Oh, Harrison and King.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the number one is Lloyd Glasspool.
yes, Cash and
Yeah.
Glasspool. Like, no, can you imagine, like, best statement to advertise doubles? That Sincaraz, the two best players in the world,
That's a good
couldn't
point.
beat the best doubles team in the world. That would put some respect on their name, I think.
Okay, okay, good point.
Or if they make it close, it would be interesting. So there's that. I'm more thinking from that perspective of the like. I
Perspective,
don't
okay.
think it's going to go
Yeah.
and defeat everybody. But in terms of the buddy stuff, I mean, it's different because they're about the same age. Federer and Nadal had a 4-year age gap. But these two have just played their epic match at Roland Garros. Like, they've just earned a whole lot of mutual respect with each
Okay,
other.
fair.
Yeah.
That actually, you know what? I don't hate you. If we don't actually hate each other, then why do we have to pretend that we don't respect each other when we clearly do? Like, we just played this amazing match, and Federer and Nadal went through the same thing. So, like, why not let them be buddies? Like, you can't
Yeah.
even you think about Ice and Fire from like decades past. Borg and McEnroe, they were seen as these big, like, complete opposites, and in reality, they didn't hate each other. They got on as well as they could, pretty much. Johnny McEnroe had often talked about how much respect he had for Bjorn Borg. Borg is just a chill guy. I don't think we've ever really had a tennis rivalry where, in the men's game, where people really didn't get on with each other. If you think about it in the history of the sport, in the women's game, very different, very different.
And look how fun it is.
Yeah.
It's different.
very
Hey,
fun.
it's better off. I don't think we should be criticising them for doing something that actually has never really for not doing something
I
that
don't
hasn't
think
really
it's,
existed.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's not criticizing, but it's just, I would want something different. And for me, it's almost sort of like, of course, this doesn't happen, but you're sort of like, the way it seems with them, sometimes it's like, okay, you get two and I get two. Okay, cool. Which one do you want? Australia and Roland Garros. Okay, great. And then you get Wimbledon and the US Open. Okay, cool. Great. And the rest of the field is just like, great, cool. We're just going to not do anything here. So that, for me, that's what it feels like in comparison to the WTA that we just talked about, where you're sort of like, well, it could be Coco, it could be Iga, it could be Maddie, it could be who, like, in that top 10, it could be Alexandrova is about to win a Grand Slam, guys. Like, it could be anybody in that list, and sometimes that kind of is exciting. But hey, let us know what you think. If you're listening to us argue here, let us know what you think in the comments. We'll get back to the Australian Open, but I just had to bring that up because I just thought, this is too cute. Like, why are we sharing a plane? This is too much.
Hey, by the way, WTA players do TikToks with each other now. Just saying, they do it all the time.
This is true.
True.
ATP players do not do TikToks with each other. I wish they
No.
would. At this point they should. You know.
They don't do TikToks at all. I mean, Shelton is forced by his girlfriend. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And Fritz as well. Morgan as well. And that's if she's lucky.
Exactly, man. Okay, so, getting back into the Australian Open, it basically starts today, or if you're listening to this on Monday with the qualifying rounds. Now, here on Ground Pass, we've said this before, we love qualies, we love the qualifying round. I think it's like some of the best tennis, and it's only free to watch. I think the US Open is the only Grand Slam where it's free to watch, but it is pretty cheap to go. I believe it's 10. Yes, I have it here. It's 10 Australian dollars to go and watch the qualifying. And Nick, as our resident historian and just smart teacher, qualifying, brief explanation and why it's important.
Okay. So yeah, if you're new and you aren't familiar with the process of getting into Grand Slams, basically the top 100 in the world 6 weeks before the start of a slam will get in automatically. The slams will then give 8 places in the draw to wild cards, which are usually homegrown talent with the odd kind of fading star thrown in, usually. And then you've got 20 places available for qualifiers, and this is for everybody else, or at least everyone else high enough ranks to get into qualies, which given the process is about, you're looking from about 100 down to about 250-ish rankings wise, maybe slightly lower. And the way you get into it's a tournament. It is a tournament to qualify for the Grand Slam, for the Australian Open. You have to win 3 matches in a row to qualify. If you lose, you do not qualify. There is literally no margin for error. If you lose your first match, you're going home. There are spaces if you lose in the last round of qualifying that you could potentially get in, depending on what your ranking is. If you're one of the highest ranked players who loses in the last round of qualies, they're called lucky losers. They only get in as kind of if someone literally withdraws from the tournament last minute, like last minute before the start of the first round.
Yeah. And some of the best stories out of Grand Slams come out of qualifying. I remember last year, the big story in qualifying was Joao Fonseca qualifying for the Australian Open. One other one that was just fun was Destiny Ayava. If you don't remember Destiny Ayava, she was a qualifier. I think she even got a wild card into qualifying from the Australian Open. And she wore a different vintage kit every day. And it was just
so
fun
cool.
it was so cool, just seeing what she would wear the next day and stuff like that. And she's actually in qualifying again this year. And she posted to her Instagram, like, she didn't like reveal everything, but she just posted like her closet with all of her vintage kits. And she posted like, this is what to expect next week. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see what she wears. So who should people be watching in qualifying? Because I understand these are lower ranked players. People might not know who they are, but even looking at the qualifying list, there are some big names in here that people would know. So Nick and Lucy, give me just 2 quick names of people that people should be watching at the Australian Open qualifying. Nick, do you want to start?
Sure. Okay, 2 names. I have 3. Annoying. Okay.
Okay, say the third one. It's fine.
Okay, third one. Okay, very quickly. Alexander Blocks, young up-and-coming player, was in the Next Gen Finals, just won the Canberra Challenger as Joao Fonseca did last year. Long touted by people who respect as the next big thing, one of the next big things coming through. Coleman Wong, shout out to Coleman Wong. Always want to see him succeed. He had a really good Hong Kong Open at home, and he's the reason why I'm explaining to people how qualifying works in my friend group. And then thirdly, I'm going to go with Lee Tagger, who is a up-and-coming talent, had a decent Asian swing last year, might be bringing back the single-handed backhand. We'll see.
Yeah. Lucy?
I am gonna go. You guys might be surprised about me saying this. To be fair, I was a bit surprised that she was actually in a qualifying list. Katie Bolter?
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing her surname right?
Correct,
I always
Katie.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Mainly because she hired I believe she hired one of Maria Sharapova's
She
ex-coaches.
did.
Yes.
All right, she did. She did.
Yes. So it's going to be
Yes.
very interesting seeing how that goes. I feel like she's one of them players that just she really, I feel like she just needs a little bit more push. I think she really has it in her. She just needs a little bit more push. And I think this coach might be someone that might be able to help her with it. I am also interested in seeing how Jay Clark is going to be playing, mainly because he's been doing oh wow, I just realized I've went for all Brits. Hey. Not planned, I promise. I literally just now realizing it. But yeah, but Jay Clark for sure, mainly because he's been doing really well at challenger events. Either he's winning the titles or he's going really, really far. Obviously this was a little bit because I think he's been doing really well for like a lot of the clay ones. So interesting to see how he's going to be playing now back on tour, especially for hardcore. So yeah, those two. I was gonna mention one more, but I think the reason why I'm hesitant is because I love her, but I think she made the wrong decision. Taylor Townsend.
Yes.
I don't think it was a good shout for her to get rid of Coach John, especially after a great year. However, I don't think there's been any updates on who she's hiring. I think she's actually just changed her whole team because I'm seeing different people around her. She's been hitting, but I've not seen anything in terms of coach. But I think considering how much of a great season she's had, I don't think she should have quickly gotten rid of John. I understand that John doesn't have necessarily a tennis background, but I think the way he works and the way that she works, they were a great team. I think maybe if she could have afforded to include another coach, it would have been great. And I'm saying afforded because she is someone who doesn't get a lot of endorsements. She said that she signed her first proper racket endorsement just recently, and I think she's now getting a little bit more brand endorsements as well. So, I'm pretty sure if she could have done two coaches, I think that would have worked out great for her. But I was just a bit hesitant because it's like, I don't know if she will go past qualifying in singles, unfortunately, for me. But I think doubles should do great. Oh, is she still going to be with Katerina?
It seems like it, yeah, that she's still going to be
Because
with...
I had a feeling they'll break up this year. I don't know why.
Same!
I just sensed it. I had a feeling they'll break up this year, especially that she's getting rid of everyone. It's like, okay, why don't you just change your doubles partner as well while you're at it?
No, but I think, yeah, she's still with Siniakova. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see because this is actually going to be the first time we see her on court this year. Taylor didn't do any other pre-Australian Open tournament, so she's going straight into qualifying, and then she will be in the main draw of the doubles for sure.
Yeah.
For me, there are definitely some names, but the ones I will focus on are, one is Colton Smith. Colton Smith is one of the players that I follow this off season, so it'll be interesting to see him in qualifying and how he does. It's his first time in Australia ever. He also changed coaches. His coach is now Rain Williams, who was with Jensen Brooksby last year, and we saw how well Jensen Brooksby did, so this might be an interesting collaboration. They're definitely very fun together, which you will all see in the off season coming in a week about so soon. And then Rafael Jodar, another Rafa from Spain. He was I had never really watched him play until Next Gen this past year, and he really did impress me in Next Gen. It's funny because back in the day, I think, the Spanish players were almost like what Italy has now, where it's like there's an Italian player everywhere you look. That's how Spain was, and they've just kind of lacked that depth these days. It's mostly Carlos and everyone else is just tagging along. So there's been a new group of Spanish players that are up and coming that look promising. So it'll be interesting to see if Spain can get back into that position that they once were, where there was a Spanish player everywhere you looked and they were good. So those are the two players I will mention. And just last kind of special mention is Sloane Stephens is back. And I always like to see her back, and she's playing qualies. Like she's not sort of, because I know sometimes with certain players they try and do I'm just going to wait till I get a wild card into the main draw or something like that. And I think Sloane is really building back from the base, and she's going to be in the Australian Open qualies. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do there. Yeah. Yes, Lucy? If you're not watching this podcast and you're just listening, Lucy's face is so expressive. And I'm like, Lucy, tell me more.
I love Sloane, but I think it's time to hang it up. I love her. I think so. And I think there's nothing wrong for it. The way I see it is a little bit like when Wozniacki decided to come back. I was like, why? You've got
Why?
Grand Slams. You were ranked really high. You've got millions. Your best friend with Serena. You've got a husband and you've got kids. Why are you coming back? You've got it all. You've ticked all the boxes. So Sloane, she already got that slam. No one can take that away from her. And she had a wonderful run. It wasn't like a easy, win or whatnot and whatever. Every single match she played that tournament was great. She is marketable. I did not watch her obviously I didn't watch some of her commentating on TNT, but she looked like she had fun. She looked cute while she was at it. So I think she'll be great at doing stuff for the sport. She has her own other business. I think it's like some beauty brand where it's like roll on and deodorants and whatnot. She tried the podcast thing, but it didn't really work out. She was doing blogs. I think it's time. I was honestly, anytime Sloane comes back to play, I'm actually surprised, and in no disrespect, like literally I'm like, oh really, you really still want to, like, I'm surprised that she still has that passion in her,
right
basically. And lastly, don't know if I should say this out loud. I didn't say it on Black Spin, so I can say it here, so it's fine.
Okay.
I don't think she's with her husband anymore, so I think maybe she wants to travel and play to distract herself. That big ring is not on her finger no more. And her husband is nowhere around her IG anymore. So I think maybe it's a thing where she wants to travel to get out of it and whatnot. I felt something different from her. And then when I noticed that I was not seeing her husband anymore, I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Even when she made the announcement that she was freezing her eggs, that also surprised me because Sloane gave me the type of, I'm going to stop playing and I'm going to live my life. So whenever she comes back and she's like, no, I want to play or I want to do this, I'm always so surprised, me personally. But hey, at the end of the day, maybe she loves it more than I realized. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how she does. She's just someone who I like to see in the game. Like when she did that, if no one has seen this ring, there's no exaggeration like how big this thing is. And when she was, I think I talked about it actually in the fashion episode that we did, because she was a commentator at Roland Garros and she was doing all those like daily looks and stuff. And this ring was the size of a house on her finger. Literally. And I was like, is that safe to wear on the ground?
Especially in France. Paris, people will steal your phone anyhow. I am not like, honestly, it's just all over your face, just like that.
I was like, that thing's massive. But yeah, so again, I think, guys, qualifying is something that sometimes people just skip over, or even during the tournament, when they see a Q next to someone's name, they automatically, oh, that person's going to lose. No. Qualifying is very important, and some of these players can be super, super dangerous. Nick, I just so to remind people at least how to watch, in the States here, Australian Open is on ESPN. That's how you're going to get all of the coverage. Nick, how are we watching in the UK?
Discovery Plus is the way to watch. I know, Lucy, I'm not thrilled about it either. You're paying about as much for Discovery Plus as you are for a Sky Sports subscription, and it's expensive, but their sports package definitely. It's on TNT. That's the channel. That's how you access it. It's through that network. I mean, if you have Sky TV, then you can watch the channels that they're on, but you won't get access to every match. You'll just get what's on the main broadcast. If you want the court choice of every match, you need to get the Discovery Plus app.
Right. Tennis. Yeah. That's
tennis.
There. Yeah. I haven't bought my subscription yet. I'm
at.
trying to work out where I can get the money from.
So what I do, I actually just use Eugene's because I think he has Sky. So I think he has access to like TNT, that stuff, whatever. So I'm like, hey, can you send me your login, please? Thank you. Because I am not paying that for at least with when it was with Eurosport before, like Discovery Plus and Eurosport, at least it was just $7.99 or something. So it's like a little something. Then when he changed to TNT Sports, I was like, you are kidding me. I'm still not over the fact that we went from Prime to now Sports and Sky Sports, and now you have to add another one. So So yeah, like you said, tennis.
I'm going to actually be trying something this year and I will see if it works. It works for me for Wimbledon. I'm someone who I love the BBC broadcast. I just like listening to them. So if you have a VPN and you log on your location as the UK, you can access the BBC and watch it on their website. Someone underneath, because I made a video, like one of our short reels on how to watch tennis in 2026. And someone underneath that video said, why don't you just get a VPN and log on to the Stan network, which is where it's shown in Australia? And I thought, I never thought of that, but I want to make sure it works first. And if it works, I'll let you guys know.
Please.
But I want to see I want to see if it works and if so, because I already just have a VPN, so it would be interesting to check that out. And for us, mainly what we're going to do in terms of covering this tournament, we'll have a regular episode next week Monday, so you'll get that from us, and then we are going to come to you every other round. So we'll have a recap of round 1 and 2, recap of 3 and 4, and then we'll come to you for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then a review of the tournament. So we'll be back. And fourth, you will see a little bit more of Ground Pass during the Grand Slams as usual, but not too much. We're not about to go daily, guys. If you want daily, we'll probably have daily reels and catch-ups on our Instagram. So if you want to see us daily and hear what's going on in the grounds daily, follow us on either Instagram or TikTok for that. And with that, we have now come to the end, the last part, quickly, of the podcast, where we look ahead, Nick. We look ahead to see what is coming up this week in tennis.
Right, yeah. So, 4 tournaments happening in 3 locations. Adelaide is the big one. Adelaide is a WTA 500 and an ATP 250. Playing in the ATP event, you've got Tommy Paul, Stefanos Tsitsipas. Last year, this tournament was won by Felix Auger-Aliassime, but he's not defending his title. Adelaide, the field keeps changing because people keep pulling out. So Jessica Pegula was the top seed. She's not now. Madison Keys is, and she's the defending champion, and she's playing. She's in a lot of the marketing for it. Mila Andreeva's playing. Ekaterina Alexandrova's playing. Vicky Mboko's playing. Yelena Ostapenko and Daria Kasatkina are there. That's just some of the names. Then the men are also in Auckland for the ASB Classic, which you might have heard a lot mentioned when we did our interview with Ellie Majelli last episode. And by the way, the draw is out, and James Watt is playing Jensen Brooksby in the first round in the singles, and he's in the double. He and Finn Reynolds are in the doubles as well. And Auckland has got Ben Shelton, Casper Ruud, and Jakub Menchik playing, amongst others. And then we've got the last one, which is the Hobart 250. Emma Raducanu is the top seed. I can't remember the last time, if ever, she's been the top seed of a WTA tournament, but that's so that's exciting as a Brit. Defending champion McCartney Kessler is the second seed. Iva Jovic is playing. Barbara Krejcikova is going to be playing. And so is, as it currently stands, Venus Williams. I say currently because I know they've had to move her match around a bit. So I think it was supposed to be opening day, and now it's on day 2. So there's been some, obviously, behind-the-scenes stuff going on with Venus maybe not feeling quite ready to play. But Venus Williams is probably going to be the star name of that tournament, hands down. Anastasia, do you want to run through what matches you're looking forward to now I've run through?
Yeah. So I picked one. Yeah, I picked one from every tournament, and it's getting exciting already. Mumboku is playing Beatrice Haddad Maya. I know we saw her, Mumboku, play at United Cup, but it'd be nice to see her kind of like in this sort of like different tournament setting where it's not sort of like a group event. So excited to watch her. Raducanu is opening against Camila Osorio, which I find very interesting. Camila Osorio was one of the players that we followed during the off season. So it'll be nice to see how she does in her second tournament of the season. And I just watch every match Valentin Vacheron plays, guys. I'm all in. I'm all in on the cousins, and any match that Vacheron plays or Arthur Rindignesh, I'm going to watch it. By the way, shout out to, I think it is Prime France. I'm going to leave a link in the bio, but I didn't realize they did this last season, but this season they have it's basically a vlog type mini documentary series. I believe they do 7 episodes going into Roland Garros, where they follow a group of French players as they make their way to Roland Garros. They start at the beginning of the year in the off season and then follow them throughout. And they are following the cousins. It's in French, so brush up on your French or watch the subtitles. Either way, I started watching the first episode. I haven't finished it yet, but it seems really fun. Last year, they followed Louis Boisson, which obviously you saw then what she got to do at the French Open. So I think it's a very interesting series. And then finally, Elliot Spizzirri playing against Adrian Manarino in the ASBC Classic. I will be following James Watt as well, definitely, but Spizzirri is also another player we follow in the off season. So I'm basically all the players I follow during the off season, I will be keeping an eye on their 2026 seasons. Nick, it is time. It is the first player of the fortnight of the 2026 season. If you are new to watching Ground Pass and you don't know what this is, we usually every fortnight, which means every 2 weeks, we pick a player who we think is definitely someone you should be watching, keeping an eye on their season. And our big rule to ourselves is this has to be a player outside of the top 20, because for the most part, those are the players that you can see in person on a ground pass. And if you're going to, follow a new player, we would love for you to be able to go watch them in person. Lucy, I definitely asked you to participate in this, but I won't make you start. I will have Nick start with your player of the fortnight, Nick.
And I don't know what Lucy's is, so I'm hoping we don't get a reaction of Nick picked my person. So yeah, okay. I think for me, the big outside top 20 star of the week has been Marta Kostyuk. Kostyuk's kind of flown a little bit under the radar last year in that, like, her ranking dropped, but she got some decent performances in and she kept going deep in tournaments and also being a thorn in the side of Arina Sabalenka when they played on clay. And I kind of looked at her results, I was like, she probably could have been a player of the fortnight several times last year. And I think this year I'm super impressed by how she started, because she's beaten not 1, not 2, but 3 top 10 players to get to the Brisbane final, where she was just the, unfortunate distinction of having to play Arina Sabalenka in Australia. And just no one could stand up to her. But she beat Amanda Anisimova in straight sets. She beats Mira Andreeva in I think it was straight sets again. It was a tough match. And then she beats Jessica Pegula in straight sets. And Marta Kostyuk went almost pretty much a year without beating a top 10 opponent, and then beats 3 in a week. So I think this is probably one of the best weeks of her career. She's shown what she can do. It was obviously a very emotional result for her as well. So yeah, I have to go with Marta Kostyuk as the obvious choice for player of the fortnight. Go watch her on a ground pass if you can, whether it's in Australia or wherever you watch.
Yeah, you probably get the chance to. Lucy, who is your player of the fortnight?
Some people might be surprised about this, but I think it's also because she's actually someone I feel like, I don't know, I can just sense it that this season she might just shake the table a little bit. Although she did get knocked out on the second round at Brisbane, but it was still a good match. And that's Sophia Kenin. I feel like Sophia Kenin, no one is realizing. Like, if I tell you Sophia Kenin is top 30 right now, you really wouldn't feel like, that doesn't really sound like this should be the case. And I think it's because people are not realizing that her last season, it was up and down. She was having early exits, but she was really going deep as well. And some of her matches were really good. Like, she just needs to be a little bit more consistent with it. And that's it, number one. And Anastasia, you know this about me. She needs to get rid of her dad. I am team. It's time to get rid of your dad at a point. And even I think her last match, you could kind of see that because her dad was moving really weird. But yeah, Sophia Kenin, she had a very, very good match. I don't know, guys. I'm not saying she's going to I don't think she will ever win a Grand Slam again, personally, sadly. But I'm someone where you can never take a Grand Slam away from a player. Once they win that, you can't tell them anything. She's still got that merit. But I think she's going to be a bit like Garcia, where she will have a season where she just plays so well, wins a title that's very meaningful, and then goes quiet, launches a podcast, and then retires type of thing, something like that.
Not launch
And
a
Garcia
podcast.
I mean, they're all doing it at this point.
Yep. Yeah.
Not saying that they should, but my opinion. But and when Garcia did that, what happened? She got rid of her dad, and she had the best season of her career. She did go back to her thing, but she still had a great season. I believe she won the WTA finals that year. Was it
Finals,
not
yeah.
the year? Exactly. So yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be this season, but I think Kenin will have that season where she's going to literally just shock everyone, do well, and then go back quiet, and then who knows, either she continue playing or she just leaves the sport. But I think this season she would do well. I think she reached her first final in like years last year, and that was even on clay. So
Right.
it's still
Yeah.
it's still there. I believe in you, Kenin. Just say bye-bye to dad for a little bit.
Yeah, and you can still catch her on a ground pass. So definitely someone to check out. And it's very few and far in between that you can catch a former Grand Slam winner on a ground pass. So go for it. My player of the fortnight, I think I've made 2 short reel videos now talking about this man. So he might as well be my player of the fortnight. But Hubie Hurkacz. I don't know what it is about the way he came out in 2026, but he is looking scary. Other than the fact, I think he's twice his size at this point. You can tell that he wasn't on tour and he was like, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to become Jack Draper 2.0. He is big now. And he's playing great as well. I think he's currently ranked 83, and that's just because of his time away. I think it's severely underranked, and I feel like he's someone who's going to fly back up to the top of the game, and we might be talking mid-season already that he's back in the top 20. So I think this is your chance to catch that big serve in person on a ground pass, and he's just playing so well. I think he might be one of those this season that has a great storyline throughout 2026. So catch Hubie when you can. He's also, it's so funny too because of the way he's now so big, but Hubie is such a soft spoken, like shy person. So you're like, why is this voice coming out of this body? But oh well. He's a very interesting character. Hubie Hurkacz. That is my player of the fortnight. Guys, we did it. We did it. This was definitely a long podcast, but definitely worth it. It is the start of a Grand Slam coming up. Yeah. This first week of the season was just jam-packed. There's so many stories that I feel like we didn't even talk about. We didn't even talk about my favorite lost boy, Daniil Medvedev, winning a title. Couldn't title of just unbelievable. I think they were saying it's his Sebastian Baez we didn't even talk about. He's also someone who had like a great week. Guys, it has been a lot. I would say stay tuned to our social media, Instagram, Reels. That's where we kind of, or TikTok as well. That's where we kind of put out the extra videos of things that we can't really talk about for time on the podcast. But Lucy, thank you so much for coming back on Ground Pass. It was so nice having you. I'm sure you will definitely be back in this 2026 season. So everyone get to know Lucy. She'll be back for sure. And Nick, another podcast in the bag. We did it. We did it. You will definitely be seeing more of Nick and I over this Grand Slam season. Again, thank you all. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, do all of the fun things. Give us a 5-star rating if you're listening to this on a podcast player of your choice. Thank you. We appreciate it. And finally, just to plug our documentary series Off Season that is coming January 18th. So excited. Again, follow us on social media. I think we will be doing a premiere, like a YouTube premiere where I'll watch it live with everyone. I'll try and find a time where hopefully it'll work time zone wise for everyone. So we will want as many people who want to come watch it live with us, that first episode. That would be great. Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Bye.